It's marvellous, magical, totally crazy, and we love it. You get here any way you can. It's the most famous race on the calendar. Hop aboard for the best of the Monaco Grand Prix.
It's win number 3 of his career for Kimi Raikkonen. Such an absolutely crucial one.
Kimi Raikkonen kickstarts his World Championship campaign with an effortless victory in Spain. His McLaren team have the best record of all in Monaco that presents a very different driving challenge. Even before qualifying one, there's the unusual spectacle of a 4-car pile-up right at the end of the last practice session. Villeneuve's Sauber charges into the back of Coulthard's Red Bull, but it's Montoya's McLaren that's caused the mayhem by slowing suddenly in front of Ralf Schumacher's Toyota. Brake testing is the charge. The stewards find the Colombian guilty, and he's relegated to the back of the grid. More woes for Ralf Schumacher in qualifying one.
Whoa, big incident.
Desperate to make up the half-second, he'd already been penalised after Michelin supplied an unmarked tyre. His Toyota clips the barrier at to back. There's no such thing as a small accident around Monaco. Those barriers have teeth. In a thrilling finale, Alonso looks set for provisional pole. But Raikkonen unleashes an absolute stormer. The Finn's quickest by around half a second. That is massive. In the second session on Sunday morning, Michael Schumacher, probably heavy on fuel, puts himself firmly in the top 10. David Coulthard's won here twice. He's in with a great scoring chance. Coulthard, the only British driver in the race. In the battle for pole, Alonso again puts pressure on Raikkonen. But that overnight advantage is crucial. It's Raikkonen's pole, just. You normally have to start on the first 2 rows to hit the jackpot in Monte Carlo. Tony Jardine has full details of the grid.
A head-to-head contest between F1's hot shots at the most exacting challenge of the year, Monte Carlo, and Kimi's half-second pole gap reduced to just a 10th by second-place Alonso. Mark Webber third, extending the gap over fourth-place Fisichella. Fifth, Trulli. Sixth, Highfield, well beaten by his Williams teammate. Seventh, a sterling performance by Coulthard. Eighth, improving fourth places, Michael Schumacher's Ferrari. Ninth, Villeneuve. 10th, Barrichello and the other struggling Ferrari. 11th, Massa. 12th, Red Bull Racing's Liuzzi. Friesacker hurled his Minardi round to 13th, and Albers in 14th helped keep Minardi ahead of Jordan for the first time this year. 15th, Montero in the Jordan. 16th, Montoya had all his time scrubbed for causing an avoidable accident. 17th, Kartikeyan after an engine change. 18th, Ralf Schumacher didn't set a time after his big qualifying smash.
Sadly, no BARs once again. Jenson Button and Takuma Sato completing their 2 race bans after falling foul of the authorities at Imola. But racing's loss is our gain. Jenson Button is in the ITV F1 commentary box with Martin Brundle and James Allen.
The last drivers forming up at the back of the grid. As you can see, it's on a slight curve, the start line here.
Engines are cooking at this point, just the temperature sailing skywards. Must seem an eternity sitting on the front of the grid.
Watching it here actually feels longer.
Well, they've worked hard up to this point, but this is where the hard work really begins. The Monaco Grand Prix begins now! Good start by Raikkonen. Alonso not so well away, but he's fighting him. He's looked on the inside and on the outside. Fisichella has jumped Webber, and so has Trulli. The 2 Williams are side by side up the hill. A terrible start for Mark Webber, but that's great news for Fisichella. Everyone follows through. It looks like they've all got through cleanly as they go up for the first time towards Casino Square. Raikkonen leads.
intelligent driving going in. Everybody realises you can only lose the race on the first corner, you can't win it. But Alonso did his best, didn't he, to find a way through. Raikkonen had him covered, Jensen.
Yeah, I mean, the start of the Renault has always been very strong, but the McLaren looks like it's very close now. As you said, the big loser was was Webber. I mean, that was astonishing how many places he lost there. 2 places.
Yeah, he's gone down to 5th place. Raikkonen leads, Alonso 2nd, Fisichella 3rd, Trulli 4th, Webber 5th, Heidfeld is 6th, 7th is Coulthard. That's where he started. 8th is Michael Schumacher. Massa is 9th. He's got ahead of Barrichello, who has also had a very poor opening lap, Rubens Barrichello. He has gone from 10th down to 11th, dropping a place. Villeneuve is on the move as well.
Montoya already up to 12th place then. He's had a stunner from the back of the grid, found his way through quite nicely. Raikkonen leads from Alonso, Fisichella, Trulli, Webber, Heidfeld, Coulthard maintains 7th. Here's a replay of the start.
See Webber very slow away there. You can see Trulli going round the outside of him. Once again, that Williams start system just doesn't work, does it?
They've had a few problems this year with the starts. It's obviously helped us quite a bit because Webber's been very, very quick in qualifying. But no, that's pretty disastrous for the team, I think, here.
Just didn't move. It was almost like he had a bundle of clutch slip, or it bogged down a little bit or whatever. Raikkonen just blocking a right front brake, not what you want to do when you've got to carry the tyres through. Oh, and both front brakes. That was a big lock up there for Raikkonen. Luckily, not so high speed here to give you that vibration, Jensen.
That won't be too bad. You know, it's when you've got the high speed corners, as you said, that really, really causes you an issue.
The Ferraris are not fast. Michael Schumacher can't get anywhere near Coulthard. He's 8th, but running a 2.5 seconds off the ultimate pace. We could see him getting lapped today if it carries on anything like this.
Well, Rubens Barrichello, after practice on Thursday, said we'll be lucky if we don't get lapped. And today in the Italian papers, Michael Schumacher saying, I think 5th is the best I can hope for. So a lot of head-scratching going on at Ferrari at the moment. They're certainly not the force that they were in the last few years. And it's not just the tyres either, is it, Jensen? It's more than that, because clearly the car isn't quite there either.
It's a really difficult one to comment on. You know, for me, the Michelin tyre that we've got at the moment is very, very strong. And also the consistency of the tyre. I think that the Bridgestone might be struggling a little bit in the consistency and lasting for the whole race. They might have had to go very, very hard for this race meeting. I don't think Ferrari have suddenly built a bad car, though. You know, they're going to be there or thereabouts.
Well, it was certainly fast enough at Imola, wasn't it, in the middle part of that race? Michael Schumacher 2 seconds a lap quicker than Alonso there, so we will see, but they've got a lot of effort going on to develop it.
Now, will you have checked in on the radio by now, Jensen, just to say this is what I've got, and so they can start thinking about tyre pressures at the first stop, or do you just get on and race? Yeah,
there's a few things we can change at the pit stops, which is tyre pressures and the front wing. So yeah, we'll be talking a little bit on the radio now about how the car's feeling, where the balance is going to, because after 5 or 6 laps with these tyres, the balance will change. So you'll be just running them through that and just trying to stay relaxed, really, and keep the team relaxed.
And the engineer, your engineer has to know where you are on the racetrack, otherwise presumably there's no radio transmission, so he's timing you as you go past the pits. And you agree a moment where you're going to talk, yeah?
It has to be in a slow speed corner. These things, you know, they're revving to 18, 19,000, so you can't hear so much when you're at high rev, so low speed corners is the only place really we can understand what they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm turning my volume up here in the commentary box. I can barely hear each other. It's incredible when the pack comes past here and by the swimming pool.
Riding on board with Fernando Alonso then up the hill towards the casino. 170 miles an hour, down a couple of gears, pitches it in. All the rich people looking down from their balconies, the Hotel de Paris there, the Café de Paris, the tip-top bar on the left where Graham Hill used to entertain into the early hours of the morning back in the day when the drivers used to party the night before the race. There's the old Lowe's Hotel, used to be called Station Hairpin. Great pictures of Sterling Moss in the past. All the greats have driven here in the past, and now we've got some real greats on the streets of Monte Carlo. Kimi Raikkonen leads by 2 seconds from Fernando Alonso, who is not letting him get away here. Fisichella's 3rd, Trulli's 4th, Webber's 5th, Heidfeld is in 6th place. On board with one of the Ferraris, we've got Michael Schumacher in 8th place, Rubens Barrichello down in 11th place. That's probably him with Montoya. Yes, it is, behind him. Montoya, well, he was right on Barrichello's tail for a while.
A lot more suspension travel here, Jensen. You set the cars higher and softer, presumably.
Yeah, we do run the cars a bit higher. It is a reasonably bumpy circuit. It's not as bad as you think. Oh!
Whoa! That's several car pile-up here, and that's going to have an effect on the race. Michael Schumacher is involved. Look, Schumacher's on the outside, and this is going to block the racetrack. This might have to be a red flag situation, I think. Barrichello's involved, Villeneuve's involved, and that is Juan Montoya as well. So the race leader not caught up in it. Villeneuve's going to try and
get away with it. Look, Villeneuve's going to clear the pack. The Ferrari won't have enough steering lock though to get through the gap. They'll have to pull it back. So yes, it's just clear. Michael's got away too. And Liuzzi all held up, Ralf Schumacher held up there, so an ideal time if you're anywhere near a window to come in and take some fuel.
But the race leader is nowhere near it. He's approaching the area now. He's just gone through sector 1. There is the race leader. He lost no time as a result of that. This is what happened.
At the top of the hill there, look, and that was Coulthard there getting hit by Michael. Michael's front wing is broken, so the Minardi spins in front of Coulthard. He has to slow down. And this is also then Montoya coming across the gridlock, the traffic jam. And so I wonder if there's any damage to the back of Coulthard too, but Michael will have to pit for a new nose. There he is, but under safety car conditions, he's just going to lose track position rather than a lap. So unfortunately there for Michael Schumacher.
It's not been deployed yet, the safety car. It's just standing by, so we're not under safety car conditions yet. It's just on standby. Everyone else is still racing. Raikkonen is certainly travelling at racing speeds around there.
It's deployed now. Good point, though. You were right, James, but it is now deployed. So Michael effectively cruising in under race conditions, under green flag conditions.
Yeah, I think we're going to see now who's doing 2 stops, because if people pit, they're definitely going to be doing 2 stops. Raikkonen, I think he'll probably stay out because it's too early to stick the fuel in the tank to carry him to the end of the race, I'd say.
It is, isn't it? It's not quite. They needed another 5-7 laps, didn't they? Probably. They're short of the window. Who has pitted? Michael Schumacher has pitted. So has David Coulthard, and Coulthard is going very slowly. And so let's hope there's not a problem with the back of that car after Michael ran in. So is Alonso, Fisichella. The 2 stoppers then have used the opportunity. Ted has further news.
That's right, and they're queuing the Renaults. Alonso in first, Fisichella now in the box. The Williams are spaced out enough that one of the cars is in now, but I'm afraid to say right in front of me, the Red Bull of David Coulthard has turned off his engine. I think it's got a problem with the rear suspension or the rear of the car. They're just having a look at it now.
Well, we saw him getting hit by Michael Schumacher. It was Patrick Friesacker who spun up at the Mirabeau corner that caused all this trouble, and once again Coulthard has lost out as a result of someone else's accident for the 2nd time this weekend. What a shame for him. He's been driving so well here this weekend. You can see the Stormtrooper Star Wars theme helmets on the Red Bull, but it's no laughing matter this for Coulthard. He came here looking for points. He's going to go away empty-handed. So let's just sum up where we are then. Raikkonen and Trulli are at the front of the train. They have not made a stop yet in this Grand Prix. Alonso is 3rd, Webber's 4th, Heidfeld and Massa, they have all made stops. Villeneuve is 7th. He didn't come in despite being involved in that incident up at the Mirabeau. Fisichella had to queue behind his teammate Alonso, and he's been dropped several places as a result of that. Webber, Heidfeld, Massa, Villeneuve all got in front of him. Barrichello's 9th, which is more or less where he was before, with Montoya still stuck behind him. Those 2 have not pitted either. Liuzzi's been promoted to 11th. Ralf Schumacher has taken advantage as well. He's up into 12th place now, ahead of his brother Michael, who had to come in for a nose change, but obviously he would have taken fuel on board as well. But Schumacher made that pit stop when they were still racing. The safety car was deployed while he was in the pit lane, so he would have lost more time than it looks.
Now I think we're going to see a replay of this is of Barrichello coming across the accident after it's already happened. Michael did give the back of the Red Bull car quite a whack, and that's why he's ended up there. Look, quite a push. Has lifted the back of the car off, so safety cars coming in. Jensen, what are you doing now as a driver out there in this phase of this lap?
Just as we saw Raikkonen doing, you're hitting the brakes as hard as you can, getting heat into those tyres. Hopefully we're going to get to see the restart of the race here.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. The Ferrari mechanics want to watch it as well. We are racing again in Monte Carlo, Mr. Director. Let's have a look at it, because Raikkonen leads up the hill out of Saint-Yvot. And, well, Michael Schumacher is behind him in the train, but that's the guy. There's Trulli in 2nd place. Alonso you saw flashing through the frame as well. Webber, that's Massa 6th place. Villeneuve 7th. So Michael Schumacher is between the Trulli-Alonso gang and the race leader. That's a bit of a breather for Raikkonen, isn't it? He's got a few cars, including, I think, a Minardi. Yeah, there's a Minardi between. He's going to have to get out of the way pretty smartish. That's Trulli, that's Alonso, that's Webber, and that's Heidfeld.
Well, Trulli and Alonso are the very best of friends, especially for Grand Prix drivers, but he's not going to be cutting him any slack here at all. But Alonso's got to keep his head here, hasn't he, Jensen? It'd be easy to make a very rash move because Raikkonen's disappearing down the road. He's got a lapped Ferrari and a slow Minardi. In fact, I think they've just made it past the Minardi now.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. You have to really be on it because there might be an opportunity, but you don't want to go too crazy. And you know, if you touch the car in front or the barrier, that's it around here.
Right, best case scenario for Raikkonen then, because Alonso's getting held up wickedly on this lap, so it is playing into his hands.
He certainly is. There's a Minardi and a Ferrari. Michael Schumacher. Schumacher still feeling the balance of that car, having changed the nose on the pit stop a moment ago. What kind of margin has Raikkonen already got over Trulli? 5.6 seconds in one lap alone, so he's certainly well on his way to buying himself that cushion that he needs.
And look at Alonso under pressure, so whether he's made a mistake or just struggling with a fresh fuel load and the same tyres to just get some grip, but Alonso, instead of being all over the back of Trulli, he's under pressure himself. Don't know what went on there. Maybe we'll see a replay of a mistake, or he's just struggling to find grip.
We've seen David Coulthard eliminated once again through no fault of his own. He's talking now with Louise Goodman.
David, second time this weekend you've lost out in an accident that had nothing to do with you.
Yeah, that's unfortunately racing, especially in Monaco, and obviously the Minardi lost it on the entry to Mirabeau, and I could see him because I was close enough. Obviously Michael couldn't, and the chain reaction was he hit the back of me and broke my rear suspension. So obviously very disappointed because we were full tanks and looking very good. No reason to expect anything other than we would have got in front of the Williams, because we would only drop 6 seconds in 20 laps, and we were going well over lap 40.
You had it all under control until then. Where do you think you would ultimately have aimed up if you finished the race?
Well, I'm not too sure how far Mark would down the road, but certainly in front of Nick. And who knows? Yeah, to say we were rimmed, so we were going all the way to maximum capacity, and we've every reason to believe that we can go as long as anyone, if not the longest.
Thanks, David.
Well, that's a big shunt there for Friesacker, who has lost it where you lost it, really, a few years ago, Jensen. And he didn't hit anything quite as hard as you did, though.
No, I think he's braked a little bit earlier there, lost it earlier, hit the inside wall, exactly the same as what I did. But the barrier's moved back now, because that would have been a much bigger impact. Well, obviously there wasn't a second impact like me in 2003.
Ironically, if you do brake too early, there's a little bit bumpier, isn't it? And it's you think you're being cautious, and it gives you more of a chance. And I don't understand. I think it's the camber of the road. It's very easy to just touch the barrier on the right-hand side, especially if you're focused on the chicane on the way down there. But that did. Comical, really, isn't it? The way the car broke away.
The problem is that, you know, he's hit the brakes hard, and it's just locked the rear end, and it just snaps.
Jarno Trulli pits from second place in the Toyota. That releases Alonso, albeit that he was 9 seconds behind the Toyota, so he wasn't exactly being held up by him.
Fastest man on the racetrack is Michael Schumacher. He lost out heavily in that by running into the back of Coulthard and pitting. The safety car deployed quite late. Instead of being up there, say P6, he ended up losing that, coming out just behind the safety car and getting shuffled right down the pack. Worked out very badly for him. Otherwise, Michael would be in actually quite a handy position now, especially given the lap times he's suddenly pulling out of the bag.
Jarno Trulli rejoins 11th, just behind teammate Ralf Schumacher, who has not made a pit stop. Neither has Liuzzi, who is 10th. Barrichello and Montoya going very long in this Grand Prix as well, 8th and 9th at the moment. And Raikkonen, of course, the race leader, yet to make his first stop, but that must be coming up in the next 5 or so laps, I would have thought.
Alonso's lead, a deficit now to Raikkonen, 35 seconds. It's in the bag for Raikkonen. If he can clearly stop just once and get to the end of the Grand Prix. So looking very handy, providing he's got reliability.
Yeah, Alonso lapping 2.3 seconds, a lap slower than Raikkonen, but of course Raikkonen is due a fuel stop. McLaren mechanics are out in the pit lane, ready for their man, so I think the race leader might be coming in any time. There's Ralf Schumacher. He has just made his first stop, probably the only stop of the afternoon. There is the race leader then, Kimi Raikkonen, into the pits. 34-second lead, Ted Kravitz.
His tyres look in great condition. They're just clearing some of the rubbish out of the radiators. He's happy with the balance. They're not making any change to the fuel pressures. And there we go. That's a good stop by McLaren for Raikkonen.
He'll be easily in the lead, maintain his lead, because Alonso's pace has just disappeared somewhere. He's had no chance since he stopped after that safety car thing. We have had a Minardi crash, and there must have been a lot of debris over the racetrack, so hopefully we're not seeing early signs of slow punctures or something. But Raikkonen then comfortably back in the lead with enough fuel to get him to the end of the Grand Prix.
It was interesting, guys, wasn't it? In Barcelona, in the early part, we saw Alonso struggling with the tyres on the car. They made some changes in the pit stop. It suddenly came alive. And here, it's the opposite way around. He was going reasonably well. They've come into the pit stop. Of course, he's not allowed to change his tyres. And now in the second phase of the Grand Prix, the pace has just completely disappeared. So clearly a balance issue, gents.
Yeah, the Renault this year, before Barcelona, has been very, very good on tyres. Especially the rear tyres, they've really looked after them well. That's been their strong point. But if you look at the rear tyres now, they're going to really struggle. There's still a long way to go.
Yeah, 15 corners, and a lot of them so you can lose a lot of time. But Michael's now still in the 1 minute 15s, which is stunning, a low 1 minute 16s, way quicker than anybody else except for Kimi Raikkonen. And if you just hook up one apex, leads through an acceleration zone and straight into the braking zone of another corner, you can gain a couple of tenths per corner, can't you? And that's what gives you such a wide variety of lap times. But you've got to wonder why Michael suddenly found all that pace and hadn't delivered anything like that through the qualifying and the early stage of the Grand Prix.
For Webber, this is the most frustrating thing for a racing driver, being held back. He knows that he's quite a bit quiet. I think he's a lot quicker than Alonso in front of him. But sat behind someone, seeing that rear wing for so many laps, just makes you go mad.
You get sort of mesmerised by it, don't you? You just get in a trance with it.
And you actually don't realise how much time you're losing as well.
Rubens Barrichello pitting, and Liuzzi as well comes in for his first stop, so they managed to get to lap 46 for these two cars before making a pit stop. That's a pretty big fuel tank for both cars, and Barrichello stalled it on the way out. Start me up, he says. They put the starter in the back, the rear wheels spin, the engine's going, Rubens floors it, that's cost him a bit. That will almost certainly have cost him the place to Montoya, who was unable to pass him in the run-up to that.
I'm not sure he had his speed limiter on then either, because you saw him hit the brakes halfway down the pit lane, so we'll see if he gets a penalty for that.
Could be a pit lane speed limit as well. Penalty for Rubens Barrichello to add to his miseries. 4 times on the podium here, but he's struggling to get anywhere near it here today. Raikkonen, though, looking pretty serene at the front. In comes Montoya then, the last man to make his fuel stop here this afternoon on lap 47. That means he's carried about 98 kilos of fuel in the opening phase of this Grand Prix. Remember, he didn't do a qualifying lap this morning, so he saved 3 laps of fuel in comparison to everyone else, but finally he comes in and rejoins. And where does he rejoin? Just in front of Jacques Villeneuve, I believe, which puts him in 8th place. Yes, that's what the computer thinks as well. Meanwhile, Rubens Barrichello, with that stall, his pit stop has dropped down to 13th. 30 laps to go in Monte Carlo. Kimi Raikkonen is leading by 13 seconds from Alonso, with battling with Webber, just flashing past a slowing Minardi there. Mark Webber in the Williams, looking for his first podium finish in Formula 1. Teammate Heidfeld is there to pick up any pieces in 4th place. Massa's 5th. Fisichella, who lost out massively behind the safety car, is dropped down into 6th place. 7th is Chulli. 8th Montoya, who just made his pit stop on lap 47 of this Grand Prix. He's dropped Rubens Barrichello, who Jenson Button spotted leaving the pits without his pit lane speed limiter on, and sure enough, the stewards agreed with you, Jenson, and he's just been handed a drive-through penalty. So it doesn't rain, but it pours for Ferrari.
And that's him delivering that. He's got to go through on the speed limiter. I think he switched the speed limiter off, didn't he, when he stalled the engine? Forgot to put it back on in a panic to get out to try to stay ahead of Montoya. So disastrous afternoon for Ferrari. Michael Schumacher, disadvantage in a safety car situation, which to a certain extent he caused by running into the back of Coulthard. Alonso struggling.
So Alonso goes wrong into the first part of the swimming pool, and Webber senses an opportunity now, right up on the back of him, but Alonso regains his composure. Was it a concentration issue? Did he just have a problem getting the car turned in? Whatever it was, he took off over the first curve and got that first part of the swimming pool all wrong.
And is this Michael having a go at Ralph and missing the apex, missing the chicane, and only just missing his brother? Won't be the first time they've run into each other either.
Oh, Williams has just gone in. That's Heidfeld, just gone into the pits for his second pit stop.
Yeah, he pitted the same time as everybody else on lap 25, and they brought him in a little bit earlier. Normally, if you stay out a little bit longer, it's an advantage, but not when you're being held up as badly as Mark Webber is. So Heidfeld can take advantage of hopefully some clear air, which he certainly looks like he's got, and he might be able to do something about Alonso and Webber if indeed they both make further stops. Watch this situation carefully.
Fisichella broadsiding it through Sainte Devote, and crucially Heidfeld got back out in front of him.
Just 20 to go here in Monte Carlo as Mark Webber comes into the pits from third place. Teammate Nick Heidfeld rolled the dice just a lap ago. They're being held up by Fernando Alonso. The Renaults have terrible tyre wear here. Alonso second, Fisichella fifth at the moment. They're really struggling for grip. And this is Williams trying to get their two cars in front of Alonso when the pit stop happened. That was Heidfeld that just flashed through the frame. So that one lap really helped Nick Heidfeld, and it really hindered Webber staying out the extra lap behind Alonso.
And that could well be for a podium. And of course, still out in front of that back, Schumacher pits for the second time this afternoon also. But really, how far can Alonso go? And can he keep it on the island with that rear tyre wear? Remember, Rubens Barrichello ran out of rear tyre and had to abandon the race in Malaysia, and Liuzzi just going through there.
Well, you know what that tells me? If Heidfeld was able to leapfrog Webber so easily by staying out, by going and lapping a lap earlier and getting away from Alonso, then Webber's going to do the same thing to Alonso. They're both going to leapfrog him and possibly push Alonso off the podium. It could be two Williams on the podium at this rate, second and third, Heidfeld and Webber, with Alonso struggling as much as he is.
And this then is Alonso under massive pressure from Mark Webber. Clearly a replay of a while back when Alonso got it all horribly wrong in the first part of the swimming pool.
There's Michael Schumacher cutting the yellow line, is he? On the pit lane exit.
Heidfeld's doing some pretty impressive lap times at the moment. He's obviously been sat there just saving his tyres behind Webber and Alonso, and he's putting in some pretty good laps, 17.3.
That's Liuzzi with a sick motor by the looks of it, and the right bank of the V10 looking and standing sick, and or is it, no, it's a puncture, look, sorry, it's a puncture, the tyre up against the wing end fence, so Liuzzi just at the end of the lap, he can creep back into the pit lane.
Well, he was racing Michael Schumacher, remember. Schumacher was behind him. I wonder whether that was the result of some sort of contact with the world champion.
This is fantastic to see after 62 laps around Monaco. All these cars fighting together, and I think there is a real possibility that they are going to start overtaking or trying to challenge Fizzy and Trulli.
Well, Fizzy will make a mistake in the end, won't he? If he's got so little rear grip, he's just got to brake early and hope. And look at this, Montoya having a go then at Jarno Trulli. So suddenly, and oh!
Yeah, that was Villeneuve and Massa. Looked like Villeneuve had a run at Massa because Massa was in front of him. It looked like they both went straight on, and that allowed Ralf Schumacher and Barrichello through. There goes Massa. Villeneuve
noses off the Villeneuve car, and that looked way too hot into there. Look, indeed, Villeneuve on the very dirty piece of track. He's like, uh-oh.
It wasn't even heading for the apex. It was going inside.
No, oh, straight in. Whoops. Look at this cue. How frustrating is that? Torque on an engine, I read, I think it was in Bike Magazine, a good analogy. Torque is how hard an engine can punch, and the power is how fast it can punch. And the torque, the twisting power of that Renault engine aligned to a good traction system and traction control system makes it very quick on the way out of slow corners. And that's why Fisichella can hold this enormous pack of cars up. But he's having to go so defensive on the way in now, and that's going to be getting really tight behind him. And look, Trulli has a go. Oh, he's got through. He's made it. He's got through. And now Fisichella's going to lose 3 places because he just got put completely out of position. And he had to do it. He had to make a stick. Trulli loses another one now to Michael Schumacher, and finally a Barrichello too. So disaster then. He's fallen right to the back of the pack. They shuffled him out, hung him out to dry, wouldn't let him back in.
Fisichella then goes from 5th down to 10th in the space of 2 corners. And look at this, Montoya has got past Trulli, so clearly Trulli damaged his car by launching himself over that hairpin, and that's worked out very sweetly indeed for Juan Montoya. He has suddenly found himself in 5th place with clear air in front of him now to Mark Webber, who is 4th. Now we're going to see some fast laps from Juan Montoya because he is in clear air, and what a dramatic lap that was. Lap 65 here in Monte Carlo. And let's have a look again at what happened. Watch out for Trulli in the Toyota.
Trulli's gone in deep. Right, Fisichella tries to cut across, but left him enough space. But Trulli just bumped across the curb. Didn't actually quite need to do that. Easy to say from here. And we're going to see that from Montoya's car. And it wouldn't surprise me, Jensen, he hasn't broken an element of the suspension.
Yeah, you can tell by the way he's driving around now. I mean, he's really struggling. Look at that.
Yeah, it's probably a tie rod on the rear tie rod or something like that, or even push rod has gone, and he's just couldn't. It just moved all the way onto 3 wheels.
Yeah.
And oh, look at that! He just left Montoya, and very brave from Montoya to hang on in there.
Trulli comes into the pits. They're going to check over that car.
Raikkonen still leads by that 32 seconds. And Alonso is leading both Williams by a total of 7/10.
And what was absolutely decisive is that when the safety car came out and they...
There he goes.
Oh, not the inside. Goes Heidfeld. He's managed to make it stick under braking into the chicane. A fantastic and very brave move by Nick Heidfeld. Alonso cannot resist. Heidfeld is up into 2nd, Alonso's 3rd, and now it's up to Mark Webber to have a run at him.
And Webber will want to be getting after Heidfeld in a hurry too, but Alonso, I think, just watching the back marker, was not watching, and it's so difficult looking in your mirrors going down there. It's impossible, actually, Jensen, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. You're coming out of the tunnel there, you're straight onto the brakes. You're not looking in your mirrors, but that was a great move by Heidfeld. Very, very impressive. A reasonably long way back.
Yeah, it was a long way back, wasn't it? And I think Alonso would have been actually a bit surprised at the speed he whistled past and the fact he still made it into the hairpin, the chicane.
I mean, he can't fight. He can't brake later than he is because he's going to lock those rears and he's going to be off. So he's not going to take that risk.
Well, Fisichella doesn't have the pace either. He's now down in 9th place. It's all gone completely wrong for Giancarlo Fisichella once again. Here's Webber. Is he having another look down Mirabeau? He certainly makes Alonso think he's going to. And then this is where Trulli had a bit of a launch down the inside of Fisichella. Webber has a think, but just a little think, and decides against it. Now, can he get himself tucked up nice and close on the exit of Portier so he can have a run down the inside? You can't get much closer through Portier than that. Mark Webber then, the Renault accelerates out of the corner. Webber's in his slipstream. Is he going to have a crack this time?
Well, the talk of the Renault looked good, but he's got a chance, do you think? He's going to have a go. Here he goes, and he makes it, does he?
Has he?
And I think Fernando will have to give him that place back. What do you think, Jensen? I think Fernando will have to hand that place back or get penalised.
Well, the problem is that Webber went a bit wide as well. He actually went over the curb. He had all 4 wheels over the curb, so Alonso can say, you know, push me wide. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, but Webber made a specific effort to get back and maintain the racetrack. Alonso absolutely did not.
Yeah, Alonso won't let him past. You know, he'll wait until the end of the race, see what happens.
He'll certainly be waiting to be told. Here it is again, you see. Alonso makes no effort, really, to try and turn through the chicane. Webber did, at least, as you say, try and get through.
Renault have to tell him to let him back through, in my view.
Yeah, looking at it again, yeah, you're right.
Because Mark made a perfectly reasonable effort, and he just, and hopefully hasn't damaged the under tray of the car. And their faces will change in a minute when they see Alonso back in front. But let's hope they don't end up damaging each other's cars in the meanwhile.
He's certainly going to make him work for it, is Fernando Alonso. Stewards bound to be looking at this. Nothing on the computer at the moment from race control telling us that the stewards are looking at that. But, well, if they're going to do something about it, they need to do it soon, because Webber is closer than ever through Portier. Is he going to have another go on the run down to the chicane? He's closer than he was last time.
It interests me what you say, Jensen. You know, maybe Fernando can say, I had no option but to go down there. And this time, and he's going to do it again. And he has to just yield now. He has to yield.
No, but Webber went off the circuit, so Webber's got to yield.
Well, they both went off the circuit, didn't they?
Webber went straight on. You know, He should be laying Alonso back fast now.
There should be some big spears there, so nobody
just disqualify them both.
I think Alonso went more straight on than Webber on both occasions, so possibly justice being done. Here it is again.
Well, the rules say it's about whether you gain position or you gain advantage, I think, to be more precise in those situations. And you'd have to say they both were equally guilty of the same crime to a certain extent. Look, Fernando could have made that corner and elected to actually swerve back across the no man's land. Anyway, he's behind him now, but my view is that that Marc is more in the right than Fernando, and the two incidents combined.
Barrichello still trying to find a way past Ralf Schumacher. Two Ferraris in line astern behind the Toyota, and that is the scrap for 6th place. As we look at the battle for 4th, what an exciting finish to the Monaco Grand Prix. And you just know Montoya is going to try it. Michael Schumacher watching his teammate. He almost touches the back of Ralf Schumacher. And that is 4th to 8th, right there.
It's Rubens is the front Ferrari. He's 7th. Michael Schumacher is 8th. And then we saw what happened to Fisichella. As soon as he got put on the outside and hung out to dry, they just all streamed past. Alonso, I think, is probably a little bit more wise in terms of car positioning, but he's got no defence really if he can't hit the brake pedal, has he?
No. Last lap, it's going to be pretty exciting.
Certainly is. This is the race leader we're riding on board with them through Casino Square. It's a Sunday afternoon stroll for Kimi Räikkönen at this stage of the race. He's got 17 seconds lead over Nick Heidfeld in the BMW Williams. It's going to be German engine 1, 2, 3 here. Mercedes first, BMW second and third. And what a fantastic performance by him. But we really would like very much to see the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. Across the line of the last lap is Mr. Huppert, one of the senior management from Mercedes-Benz, and understandably the race director's looking at the glory man, but there's a heck of a scrap going on, and you just know Montoya's going to try something for 4th place.
Yes, and it's got to happen at the chicane. We're going to be watching Räikkönen win the race, kind of understandably, but if it's going to happen, they've got to nail Alonso down at the chicane. Räikkönen comes into the final corner then.
So Kimi Räikkönen comes through out of the final corner. 2 in a row for the Finn. Another dominant victory. And Kimi Räikkönen wins on the streets of Monte Carlo. But who's going to be 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th? That's the big question. Waiting for the 2 BMW Williams to come through. There you go. Nick Heidfeld, 2nd place for him. Wonderful result. And teammate Mark Webber is just 7 seconds behind him on the racetrack. His first ever Formula 1 pole position. Alonso is still in front of Montoya. We're looking at an empty track. Montoya looks at the inside, the outside, every side. He'll have to go over the top through Nogue if he's going to find his way through. He can't find his way through. What an amazing defensive drive once again from Fernando Alonso. And Barrichello dived alongside Ralph. I wonder if he got him just across the start-finish line.
A slow burner, what a phenomenal finale. Who says you can't overtake in Monaco? A huge boost for BMW Williams, best ever for Heidfeld, same for Mark Webber. The Aussie will join us in the studio. And Kimi Räikkönen with diamonds in his special customised helmet joins the glittering list of Monaco winners.
It feels like 1977 again. It's the stuff of which dreams are made! Tonight, Liverpool are the special ones. What a goal, what a night! Oh, I say! It's just like the old days.
And we will all be in Istanbul in late August for the first ever Turkish Grand Prix. Let me confirm the result of the 63rd Monaco Grand Prix. Räikkönen 10 out of 10 again. Excellent for McLaren and Mercedes in their 200th Grand Prix. Heidfeld 3rd in Malaysia, best ever 2nd here. Webber a podium at last for the likeable Aussie. He'll be joining us very shortly. Then Alonso still well clear in the championship. Montoya 5th after a controversial weekend. Michael Schumacher scrapping for a couple. Barrichello 33 tomorrow scores 1. But it is Räikkönen's glory day.
it's nice to win here, but in the end you get the exact same 10 points on any other races, but of course it's a special place.
You had the race completely, more or less, under control. Were you at all concerned when you didn't pit under the safety car and the Renaults did?
Yeah, a little bit, because it was basically our mistake. The team waited too long to tell me what to do, and there was a little confusion in a pit lane, but then I just said to them some passwords, but at least we had a quick car. They just told me that you need to pull 20 seconds or 25 seconds before the pit stop, so I didn't have much choice, so I went as quick as I could.
Yeah, it's fantastic for the whole team. I mean, we struggled for the season. We have one podium so far. Now to have 2, 3, I think is a big boost for the team. They're working flat out, bringing new parts everywhere, and for myself as well. First time on the second place, and then here in Monaco, which is an outstanding circuit, one of my favorite ones, probably the most difficult one on the calendar.
Just talk us through your strategy. You took a gamble, you came in under the safety car. With hindsight, was that the right thing to do?
Yeah, I think so. We took the risk, and obviously at that stage our race was with Raikkonen and for the victory, and we had to do something different to them. And when we saw them that didn't pit, they called me to do the pit stop, and I think it was okay, because when Kimi did the stop, I was 12 seconds behind him with all the problems I had. So with a normal car, maybe it was in front of him.
A bit annoyed about Michael's move, or is that, would you not expect him to do any differently?
No, maybe people will think, Rubens let him by. I didn't. He took too many risks, and there was no need for that, really. And but I don't want to make too many statements.
I wouldn't think it was much of a risk, honestly. Inside was clear. We weren't that close. I tried, it worked. Almost got Ralph as well. That's what I'm here for, to race.
Delighted that Mark Webber has joined us. Mark, 56 attempts, I think it is. How's it feel to be on the podium at last?
Very good, yeah. It's clearly a special day for the team. Both Nick and I have been on the podium after a start of the season which hasn't gone well for us, as well as we probably would have liked, and it's a fantastic day for the team. Best day for you, certainly best day for the team so far this season. You've been working on your starts. It's fair to say, as we look at it now, there's a bit more work to do. Yes, there is no question about it, and I didn't get away. Yeah, look at that. See, the clutch just hasn't bit, and it's been a tricky one from there on. So you lose the momentum down to turn one. It's ciao, yeah, bye bye, and massively frustrating. So it's 10% drive and 90% car. There you go. Okay, the podium must have seemed a long way away at that particular part of the race. No, I hadn't given up at all. It's clearly not ideal, but head down, water under the bridge very quickly, and get on with it and try and. Yeah, it was frustrating. Of course, Jarno wasn't. I would like to have gone quicker to get away from the rest of the group, but he's backing us back, and then obviously the safety car was. Sam did a good call on that, so right. I just want to thank everyone at Grove. I mean, the work that they've done to get all the air, the guys in my seat, all the night shift guys. I mean, just everything, the amount of work they've put in to get everything here, all the electronics guys, and it's been a good. You've done that. Then the safety car came out late in the race after a pileup, but one of the slowest parts of the track as well, Tony.
Yeah, well, this is where they say, Formula One cars perhaps shouldn't even go round here, but it's one of the dramatic incidents that you get in the tight confines. Albers had gone off there and spun, and Barrichello was the first on the scene, but unfortunately, this is looking from Montoya as he comes on and just slams on the brakes. David Coulthard was the one who got really damaged in that, and it changed the shape of the race somewhat. He reckoned he was on full tanks and going well, and he was out as a consequence. And David had hopes, I know, of joining Marker on the podium as well. Taking out your own teammate is a sin in Formula One, and not you, the Saubers managed it, didn't they? Well, this is something I can't believe Jolly Jack has actually done this, despite the fact that Massa was having a problem with his tyres. Look at this. He slides off, puts Massa out of contention. Massa crashed there on Thursday, had a big crash there in 2002, and I'm sure there will be big trouble from Peter Sauber to Mr. Villeneuve. Because they had wanted to score points today, especially in BAR's absence. Your teammate Nick Heifeld sort of set the pattern, didn't he, with Fernando Alonso struggling on his tyres, and a brilliant overtaking manoeuvre from Nick. Yeah, absolutely. He got a good run through the tunnel. There was a Jordan there ahead, and just distracted. Oh, sorry, it's a Toyota. Must have been Ralph or Jarno, I'm sure. Very good move. Yeah, there it is, Jarno, down the hill. It's very dusty. You can see Fernando's over to the left there and wants to try and come back to the inside. Hasn't really defended it, so fair play to Nick.
I don't think anybody had told him you're not supposed to do that here in Monaco.
It's not an easy place to overtake, but you know, with these new regulations, when it goes wrong with the tyres, you're just absolutely gone, and it's a frustrating thing for the drivers to go through, because you know, we're just at the mercy of the tyres, and we can't come in and bolt another set on and go for it. We're on an economy run, really.
Just give us your mindset as you came up behind the championship leader Fernando Alonso and he was struggling, about your thoughts about getting past him.
Well, now Fernando's blocking a lot heavier. You can see how much narrow he's coming into the chicane out of the tunnel there. So look, he's a bit tighter.
Here's the second one, isn't it?
That's I mean, it's all a bit messy. I mean, that's Monaco, and there we go. Yeah. So I think Fernando would pretty much put the white flag out there as well, and we spoke about it after the race. He's fine.
We weren't sure who was in the right or who was in the wrong, but you
Neither were we.
take it as it comes, both of you. And on the podium there, I think this is probably a little, one or two shots you won't be wiping in a hurry. Fantastic drive from Nick, and very, very nice to see. Yeah, you go.
Yeah, like I say, it's a team day, absolutely, and would have been nice to get second, but the second's still the first loser, so we've got a lot of work to do, and great day for the team. First
of many appearances on that podium, eh?
Hope so, yeah.
Cheers, Mark. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. We do appreciate it. Let's just take a look at the Drivers' Championship. In fact, Fernando Alonso has actually increased his lead here today to 22 points. Raikkonen's overtaken Trulli on second. Mark's 6 points move him up to fourth. Heidfeld and Ralf Schumacher level on 17. Fisichella becalmed on 14, level with Montoya, and a couple ahead of Michael Schumacher. The world champion really is struggling. Meantime, in the constructors, well, McLaren comfortably Monaco's most successful team, their 13th win here, and they are moved up to second place behind Renault. McLaren overtaking Toyota with those 14 points. BMW, Williams, thanks in no small part to Mark's efforts, have trawled 14, easily their best of the season. Team report time now with James Allen.
Well, Ferrari's qualifying pace still isn't there, but fastest race lap for Michael Schumacher tells you that without that incident, he'd have been on the podium today. BAR, they weren't here, of course, but they'll be back strong at the Nürburgring. Renault, I think they'll be a little bit worried about the high tyre wear they suffered here. That could cost them the championship relative to McLaren. Williams, best result of the season so far, but Webber a little bit unhappy to be behind Heidfeld at the finish. McLaren, Raikkonen untouchable once again, but Montoya, another scruffy weekend for him. Sauber, well, I think Peter Sauber's going to hit the roof with Jacques Villeneuve. That incident cost Massa 6th place and 3 points. To Red Bull Racing, well, David Coulthard very strong all weekend, but other people's accidents cost him a podium shot today. Toyota, not really on the pace here this weekend, losing ground to both McLaren and Williams in the Constructors' Championship. Jordan, well, another weird weekend for them. They got overtaken by Minardi, and they were mobile chicanes during the race. And the Minardi drivers, well, Alba's spin caused that incident which eliminated Coulthard, and a big crash for Friesacker.
Thank you, James. We're entering a frantic phase in the season. 8 races in just 10 weeks. Next weekend, it's the European Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. Qualifying, the single decisive session, we hope, from 11:30 on the Saturday morning. Our pre-race show starts just after midday. Highlights are at midnight. A doddle in Spain, streets ahead here in Monaco. Kimi Raikkonen and McLaren keep rolling those winning numbers. Good night to you all.